new drinks are now at McDonald's. Like the strawberry watermelon refresher, the mango pineapple refresher with popping boba, and the Sprite berry blast topped with cold foam. Who knew ice cold drinks could be so fire?
The sun's out, and so is our new drink lineup. From the Blackberry Passion Fruit Refresher to the Dirty Dr. Pepper. And they all pair perfectly with some fries. Refreshers contain caffeine. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever think about switching insurance companies to see if you could save some cash? Progressive makes it easy to see if you could save when you bundle your home and auto policies. Try it at Progressive.com.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states.
Hello, and welcome to It's a Fandom Thing. I'm your host, Erin Marlowe, and each week I'm joined by a panel of guests to discuss all things fandom and pop culture, primarily from a female perspective. You'll find everything from fanfic to cosplay to Schitt's Creek to Supernatural and everything in between. So put on your favorite piece of fandom merch, set aside that fanfic that you're writing about your OTP, and sit back and enjoy this week's episode. Hello, and welcome to It's a Fandom Thing. I'm your host, Erin Marlowe. And on this episode, we are wrapping up our Tom Cruise celebration with a look at the 1996 romantic comedy, Jerry Maguire. I know some of you might be like, why are you just categorizing this as a romantic comedy? It's also a sports movie. Well, I know, but this is a romantic comedy, and I think it deserves credit as a romantic comedy. And I think some people like to say it's not just that so that they can be like, see, it's better, so they can downplay romantic comedies. Joining me for this episode is returning from all the other Tom Cruise episodes, except for our Patreon-only Collateral episode, is one of my co-hosts of It's a Dean Thing pod, Paula. So Paula, first of all, you complete me, you complete this podcast, you complete this whole month. You have completed that. So did we have you at hello or hello, Paula? Actually, hey, Paula.
You had me at hello.
But yes, you have completed this run. You've helped complete it. So thank you, Paula. And thank you, listeners out there. You also complete me. And you had me at play.
Love it.
But we are going to be spoiling this movie. You've had 30 years to watch it. You can watch it on Netflix. You can watch it on Tubi. You can watch it, I'm sure, tons of other places. But like I said, we're going to be spoiling this movie. So if you've never watched Jerry Maguire and you want to, watch it spoiler free, we have spoiled a couple of the quotes, but really that's not spoiling anything because I'm sure you've heard all those quotes somewhere before. But go ahead and hit pause on us, go watch the movie, come back and listen to our discussion. So I'm going to give you some IMDb info. So from IMDb, when a sports agent has a moral epiphany and is fired for expressing it, he decides to put his new philosophy to the test as an independent agent with the only athlete who stays with him and his former colleague. That's okay. I don't know if I were to read that IMDb description, I mean, I don't know if I would be like, woo, I can't wait to watch this movie. Actually, I wouldn't be because I'd be like, sports agent. That doesn't appeal to me.
Not at all.
So I'm glad that I saw the trailer of this years and years ago, 30 years ago, and decided to watch this movie. But it was written and directed by Cameron Crowe, and it stars Tom Cruise as Jerry Maguire, who is that sports agent, Cuba Gooding Jr. as Rod Tidwell, who is the only client that stays with Jerry in the end, and of course has the famous line of "Show me the money." And Cuba Gooding Jr., of course, won the Oscar for Best Supporting Actor for his role in this movie. Renee Zellweger as Dorothy Boyd, and of course, she's the love interest. Kelly Preston as Avery Bishop, who is Jerry's girlfriend in the beginning, and then they break up. Jerry O'Connell as another athlete, Frank Cushman. Jay Moore as Bob Sugar, who is another competing agent. Bonnie Hunt as Laurel Boyd, who is Dorothy's sister. Regina King as Marcy Tidwell, who is Rod's wife. Jonathan Lipnicki, young Jonathan Lipnicki, who had like the most famous lines in this movie about the human head and how much it weighs and how dogs and bees can smell fear. And just the best lines in the movie, honestly, are uttered by this little kid who is, of course, Dorothy's son, Ray. So what I first want to know, though, Paula, is on a scale of 1 to 5 sports agents. So again, if you have halves, you're going to be halving a human being. This is not a violent movie. I mean, well, there's violence in football. Football's a very violent sport.
It really is.
On a scale of 1 to 5 sports agents, what do you rate Jerry Maguire? And has that rating changed since the first time you saw it?
I am going to give this 4 sports agents. I forgot how much I liked this movie. I haven't seen it in probably 30 years.
Oh, wow.
I mean, I watched it. I watched it in theater when it came out. I remember watching it when it came out on home video because that was a thing back then. It's kind of, but you would watch it in the theater, and then if you didn't see it in theater, you'd have to wait months sometimes for it to come out on home video or cable.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a long waiting period. Anyway, so I remember watching this movie a lot. I enjoyed it then. I still enjoy it now. I think it holds up very well. It's a romantic comedy kind of with this. I mean, yes, there's sports stuff going on, but you don't see a lot of sports being played. You're just mostly seeing athletes and that whole world, which is, oh God, the moral dilemma that he has at the beginning, I totally understand because his character at the beginning was not great, but it holds up so well, and it's a fun movie. Jonathan Lipnicki is steals every scene, I swear. So yeah, so I was literally laughing out loud throughout the whole movie. I really enjoyed it, and once again was just like, yeah, Tom Cruise is a great actor.
Yeah, I would give it probably 4.5. So I'm halving one of those agents.
Well,
I'll have Bob.
Between my half last week and your half this week, it's a whole person.
There you go. Yeah, I love this movie. When this came out in the theaters, I remember it was a huge, huge thing. This movie was a big, big deal. It was so successful. I really, really love a lot of Cameron Crowe's work. Of course, Cameron Crowe, for a lot of us, it's like he created one of the most iconic movies in Say Anything. And so it's kind of like how I think a lot of us in Gen X and millennials too, I think, but especially Gen X, we're very much like Cameron Crowe, wrote one of the movies that defined our generation. So I always have a soft spot for him and his movies. And he also loves music so much. And I mean, of course, there's the original Bruce Springsteen song in here, Secret Garden, which Bruce Springsteen has been very it was just some romantic thing for this movie. He's been before in the past kind of dismissive, but I still really like that song. I instantly got it stuck in my head right when I mentioned it. And I like some of the other music, and I think the performances are all good. And it's such a world that I would never, ever, like I said, if I had just been going off of the IMDb description, this is not a movie I would rush out to check out. But I really love, I love horror movies, but I love rom-coms when they're done really well. And the 90s was such a fantastic period for romantic comedies. And this movie was also a big awards player. It got lots of nominations, including for Tom Cruise. And this was also the movie that launched Renee Zellweger's career. She had been in stuff before, of course, like Empire Records, which we've discussed, Empire Records, the fantastic Empire Records. And she was in one of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre movies that she likes to forget she was in. Her and Matthew McConaughey were in it together. They like to play off like they weren't in it. Anyway. But it launched that career. It launched Cuba Gooding Jr.'s career, although his career has taken the route of he's in a lot of those religious movies, I believe. So it had a great cast, lots of great people, lots of great characters. And it was a world that I could care less about, but they made it exciting. They showed how, I think really a lot of this movie is also about how lifeless, a world like this, which you could also put in the entertainment industry in this, you could sub any industry really, and how when money becomes more important than human beings, that's what this movie is really about, I believe, is the connection, is real human connection. Because you see that big struggle with the character of Rod is so obsessed with money and success and getting those big deals that it kind of overtakes him. And then he finally has that moment of kind of realization and coming out of that. And you see that with the Jerry Maguire character and how in the beginning, he was struggling with that and then had that kid basically, flip him off and like, my dad's going to die. My dad's like getting injured. You don't care about any of that. And all of that kind of stuff. So I think the themes that it's trying to discuss and the performances, and of course, shout out to the wonderful Regina King and also the wonderful Bonnie Hunt. I think it's a great movie. It's a great rom-com. I think the chemistry was really well. We'll talk more about that relationship. And I think it holds up really well. And so I don't think my rating changed much. Maybe I would have given it 5, honestly, when it first came out. Because this was one of those movies that when it first came out, I was kind of obsessed with. I watched this like constantly. I watched this movie so many times. At that time, it's like right out of high school, and I lived with someone who worked in a movie theater, was my roommate, and then I worked at Blockbuster. So it was like between the two of us, we got so much our movie entertainment was taken care of. We got to see free movies. I got to see movies before they were released in the theater and all sorts of stuff. So I think this is one of the ones that I watched a ton of times in the theater and then, of course, rented and bought on VHS. I think I bought it on VHS. Yeah. So, yeah. So it's one of those. It holds up really well. This was one of those also that was on like TNT or TBS. You know how they always show the movies over and over again? This is one of those that was on repeat constantly. Because I think this was a movie where people who poo-pooed rom-coms watched it because they're like, well, it's not really rom-com, it's a sports movie. So it's like, there's lots of crossovers or whatever there. So Paula, since we are wrapping up our mini Tom Cruise month, what are your thoughts on Tom Cruise's performance and the character of Jerry Maguire?
So again, I'm going to sing Tom Cruise's praises. He, as always, gives his all to the character and really... It's like there's some actors that like, it's like, okay, it's this person playing a character. And then there's some actors that really kind of disappear into the role. And I think he really did with this role. He really kind of disappeared into playing Jerry. And it wasn't this is Tom Cruise being whatever. Because I always think of Tom Cruise as more of an action star. So to see him in a role like this where there's no action for him. I think the biggest thing he did was trip over a mail cart at the beginning of the movie when he's leaving his office, when he gets fired. That was the biggest, stunt he did.
Well, he runs.
Oh, he runs. Okay, he runs.
And
he runs at the
Dorothy.
end. Yeah. So not action at all. So this is a softer Tom Cruise in a role. And so I think it really does a good job of showing his versatility and being able to branch out and not just be an action star, but he can really hold his own in a romantic comedy, in a drama, because there's, the whole crisis of morality going on for him and who does he want to be and all of that. And so I think he does a great job. As far as the character, boy, Jerry, man, you were really going through it. He was not a likable person at the very beginning until that kid is like literally flips him off and is like makes him realize he doesn't care about the person, he only cares about the money, and he really struggles. Even once he writes his little manifesto of this is we're doing it wrong, we need to care about the people. He still kind of struggles with that with Rod and Cush. He's still kind of trying to follow Cush because that's where the money is, but Rod's loyal. And so you really see that struggle there. And the romance between him and Dorothy is, well, we're going to talk about that and I have thoughts, but
I have thoughts too.
I have thoughts. Look, this is a very, very 90s romance.
That's true.
It really is. There's kind of this, just like if you watch a 90s romance, they're kind of distinct in that way. And we'll talk more about that later. But no, Like, he starts out, like, and it's kind of brief, where he's really not a likable guy, and you really, there's struggles, there's ups and downs, but you really kind of, by the end of the movie, are really rooting for them.
Yeah, because Tom Cruise did turn into, and after this, he kind of, he did some movies where he was trying to, I think, he was trying to do his artist thing of his, like, I'm not just an action star, I'm not just this, I'm not just a movie star, I'm an actor. And he tried to do that, I think, with this one, big time with Magnolia, which he should have won the Oscar for. And a few other movies like Eyes Wide Shut and Vanilla Sky. And so he tried to do like kind of breaking out of that kind of mold, or where he'd been kind of not trapped isn't the right word, but where he had kind of found himself. Because Tom Cruise is known as an action star, but Tom Cruise has also done a lot of movies where he is not just an action star. I think his performance in Born on the 4th of July is one of the best performances in an Oliver Stone movie. I hate Oliver Stone, but I think his performance is so good in that movie. And I think he's turned in a lot of performances like that are not just the action thing. And so watching him in this, and that's the thing, is Tom Cruise actually, though, if you look at his filmography, has not done a lot of romantic movies, or a lot of movies where there's a romantic relationship at the heart of it. He did Far and Away with his then wife, Nicole Kidman. Days of Thunder, where he met Nicole Kidman, kind of has the romance on there, but it's also about the race car driving. And he's done I don't know. I don't like to call Risky Business a romance, but it's got kind of the love story kind of in there. But he's done a couple of others where you do have a love story in the movie. Like, of course, in Top Gun, there's a love story there. But Tom Cruise has always been kind of, in a way, this character and this actor that most of the characters he plays, while he is legitimately, and even if you don't find him attractive, he is legitimately a good-looking human being. He's a good-looking man. And he has got those movie star looks kind of thing to him. But he's never really been, in my opinion, on screen, this very, like, sexual person, or this very, like, romantic lead, or like a love interest kind of person for the most part. And so that's what was interesting about this movie, was he's playing one of those romantic stereotypes, which we'll get to when we talk about the love story. It's very much a trope with the character that he's playing with Jerry Maguire and Dorothy. Their relationship is very tropey. Of course, there's a huge age difference between Tom Cruise and Renee Zellweger as well. But we always overlook those when it's in these movies. But so that was what was so unique in this movie. But I do think he does a great job. He has so many scenes where he's crashing out that he does really well, and then quiet scenes and quiet moments and looks that he gives, and watching him also with Ray, with Dorothy's son, Ray. So many quiet, beautiful moments there. And he does a tremendous job of watching this character who was like at the height of everything, and then having this tumble and having to build himself back up, and trying to be authentic when there's a big part of him that doesn't want to be authentic, that's pushing against that. And as far as the character of Jerry, this is a character that you could easily loathe and hate. And I think it does toe that line between dislike and liking, because it's very much like watching it's not exactly this, but it's kind of for some reason reminding me of, I rewatch Family Ties all the time because there's a 24/7 Family Ties channel. So Family Ties is always on, and it's very comforting to me. But the character of Alex really, honestly, is awful. I mean, Alex is not a good person, even though I loved Alex as a kid. Michael J. Fox was my very first celebrity crush because of Alex. And really, that show became more about Alex than most of the other characters. But when you're watching it now as an adult, and especially with what's going on, you're kind of like, okay, we should not be romanticizing a person like this. This is how we ended up with Trump. But for some reason, Jerry Maguire reminds me of that character only in the fact that this is a character that is so focused in the beginning on money and success and power and fame, and getting that through his clients, that he's lost heart and empathy and everything like that. And this is a movie about a character trying to reconnect with that and connect with what he really wanted to do, like why he really got into this industry, why he loves sports, like the camaraderie and the sportsmanship and the friendships and the heart of it. And that it's not about the money originally, and that it became about the money. So in some weird way, I kind of see them alike. I'm not saying Jerry Maguire's politics are like Alex's, because I don't know his politics, but I'm just saying in the fact that this is a character that if it wasn't played the way it was played, if it wasn't written the way it was written, if he didn't take certain turns, you would loathe him. And that's why you've got a character like Bob Sugar, who is exactly who Jerry Maguire kind of was in a way, or was heading towards, until he made that turn that he was supposed to make. So I like the character of Jerry. I think in order to like this movie, you do have to like this character. Honestly, I think if you don't like Jerry Maguire, I mean, I guess you could still watch it if you like Rod and if you like Dorothy and if you but it's still, I think you have to like Jerry to like this movie, because it'll just fall apart for you if you don't. And I think that's why some people maybe don't like it. I don't know. But yeah, I like the character because he makes that turn, and he doesn't become Bob. He turns away before he becomes Bob completely. So yeah. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about the other characters and who our favorite is, and then we're going to talk about the love story as well. So we'll be right back.
All new drinks are now at McDonald's. Like the strawberry watermelon refresher, the mango pineapple refresher with popping boba, and the Sprite berry blast topped with cold foam. Who knew ice cold drinks could be so fire?
The sun's out, and so is our new drink lineup. From the Blackberry Passion Fruit Refresher to the Dirty Dr. Pepper. And they all pair perfectly with some fries. Refreshers contain caffeine. Va-da-ba-ba-ba.
Sometimes us men don't think much about what we wear, particularly in the summer months. You find something that's not too hot, put it on and repeat until it falls apart. This episode is sponsored by Quince, and they are changing the game for men this summer. Quince makes high-quality essentials in genuinely good materials, like breathable European linen and soft organic cotton, priced 50 to 80% less than similar brands. They do that by working directly with ethical factories and cutting out all the middlemen. You're paying for what it actually is, not what it's been marketed as. Their European linen pants and shirts are the kind of thing you pick up as one item and end up wearing 3 times a week, starting from just $34. The tees are soft and actually fit well, and the lightweight cotton sweaters are genuinely useful when summer evenings turn on you without warning, as they tend to. And they've gone well beyond clothing. Custom upholstered sofas, ceramic cookware, premium bedding. It's become the kind of brand where you end up recommending it for everything, which is either a good sign or a sign you've become a person who recommends brands. Either way, for a man like me, the linen shirt is a game changer. You can wear it an embarrassing number of times this summer, and it never goes out of style or out of comfort. If you've been getting through summers on the same approach I used to use, then Quince is the upgrade for you. Elevate your summer wardrobe. Go to quince.com/wizardio for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. Now available in Canada too. That's QUINCE.com/wizardio for free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/wizardio.
Okay, Paula, so what are your thoughts on all the other characters in this film, and who's your favorite?
Like you said before, there's just the whole cast is great. There's a lot of great characters, and again, this is a very 90s movie. A lot of them are very kind of tropey, but I love Rod and Marcy. Like, they're such a great couple. They support and hype each other up, and I love that about them. They're just unashamedly who they are, and it's refreshing to see people like that. And also, Rod is just chaotic energy, and I love it. He's such a fun character. Yes, he's having his own struggles of, wanting this great deal to finish out his career, but he's also focused on that because he wants to take care of his family. So, he's focused on the money, but it's kind of for an admirable reason, but there's still kind of that struggle there. And I love that character arc for him. And again, I love that character. I love Cuba Gooding Jr. He's great. And the character is so much fun. Marcy's fantastic. They know what they want. They're not ashamed to go for it, and they're willing to fight for it. And that's fantastic. Bob is an asshole. I hate him. But you gotta have a villain in the story, and he's the perfect villain. And like you said, that is what Jerry was heading towards. And probably was a bit at the beginning. You don't see a whole lot of that backstory from him. You just see that very beginning where the hockey player is in the hospital again because of another concussion. And the son is maybe 10 years old, and he's really worried about his dad. And Jerry's, not listening to the kid's fears about his dad. He's thinking about the money until the kid tells him, fuck you, and flips him off. And that's when he has that moment of realization. Laurel is a body hunt. I love her. She's great, and she's in some of my favorite 90s movies. She's a staple of a lot of my favorite 90s movies. She's a concerned older sister, but she doesn't try to control Dorothy and the mistakes that she clearly sees are happening. She's there to support her. She's just, I don't know. She's just fantastic. Dorothy and Ray have such a sweet little relationship, and Ray is that. Jonathan Lipnicki steals every scene he's in. That kid is fantastic. It cracks me up. Just these random facts. And kids do that. They just love to spout random facts, and I love it. Dorothy, honey. She's very idealistic. I mean, again, I love Renee Zellweger, and she's a staple of romantic comedies. Again, especially in the 90s. This particular character, though, you're just you want to see a good romance happen between them, but y'all are making some choices. Again, we'll talk about that a little bit more. But I love how she's willing to support this. I'm saying this wrong. So she reads Jerry's mission statement, as he calls it, and she really likes what she sees, and she agrees with it, and she's willing to walk away from a job, for better or worse, to support this mission statement. Maybe not the best choice as a single mother to just walk away from a steady paying job to support someone that just literally just crashed out spectacularly, but just crashed out and walked away from a high paying job. He has nothing. He has one client. Not maybe the smartest move, but I love her passion to do the right thing and support somebody in their dream. So my favorite, it's hard to pick between Rod and Ray. I love Rod, but I love the scenes between Ray and Jerry. So I think I'm going to go with Ray and Jerry together. Those scenes are so adorable.
So yes, I think, and I forgot to mention when we were talking about Tom Cruise earlier, I did want to mention, and I mentioned this story on a different episode, but I knew someone who was an extra on this film, and they told this story about how one day in between shots when they were getting ready to set up, they were, a lot of time on a film set, if you're an actor, is just sitting around and doing nothing, honestly, is waiting. And they were sitting there, and Tom Cruise came over and started talking to them and was like, "Can you believe we get to do this? Look at where we are. We're on a film set. We get to be on a film set." So this is allegedly what happened. And at first, this guy was like, "Oh, yeah, well, of course, you're making millions of dollars and I'm an extra." And he's like, but no, it was this very genuine thing. And Tom Cruise sat there and talked to him about his life and all this stuff. And he didn't have to do that. He was an extra. Once again, I understand legitimate criticisms of Tom Cruise, but I'm sharing that because I do think that's a big reason why Tom Cruise is still in this industry. Because from all the stories you hear, that's the way he is. He's like that with people who interview him. He recently, for the Odyssey, he went in there and took the people working the concessions and took them, bought their tickets and to go see the Odyssey in IMAX with him. I mean, yes, it could be big PR machine because of the cult stuff, the alleged cult stuff, but still, I don't know. So I just forgot to mention that. I wanted to mention that story again because I think that's interesting. He didn't have nice things to say about Cuba Gooding Jr., but that's a different story. But I've heard that. I mean, there's a lot of alleged stuff about Cuba Gooding Jr. not being a very good person, allegedly. Yeah. But I do love the character of Rod because Rod is someone that actually, I think his big boisterous nature is covering up for lots of insecurities because he feels like, you watch certain scenes where you have like the reporters in there talking to all the football players and they're like, anyone else we want to talk to? Nope, 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 nope. And just like ignore him until he gets that injury at that Christmas game, which also like is what compels Jerry to go to Dorothy as well at that, the pivotal, the scene of, you complete me scene. So I think Rod has so many insecurities and he's trying so hard to overcome those by being like this very like confident guy, but that confidence is covering up for those insecurities. But I think despite what I just said about allegedly with Cuba Gooding Jr., I do think he does a fantastic job. And I love that character. And like you said, I love his relationship with his wife, Marcy, played by the amazing Regina King. We did a whole episode about Regina King a few years ago. You can go listen to. And I love their romance and their love story. And I think it's very much a mirror or at least a reflection of what Jerry wants eventually, and especially what Dorothy wants. Because you see so many scenes where Dorothy's watching them and you can tell Dorothy's like, I want that closeness because they're very in sync. They have each other's back. It's an equal partnership. You can tell they also are really good friends and they really like each other on top of loving each other. And I think in order to have a very successful relationship, you not only have to love the person, but you have to like the person because there are so many people that love each other but actually don't really like each other. And you can see that Rod and Marcy really, really like each other. And Rod values Marcy's opinion and input so, so much. And the scene where they're like, get up when he gets hurt and watching Marcy and their child and their son also being like worried and the whole family being worried and, his younger brother being like, a little brat about it and Marcy getting upset about that. And it's just like a really, really, really great scene. And you get to see how gelled they are, what a great couple they are, and how much in love she is with him. And it's not like I think sometimes you see in sports movies like these athletes or whatever like have a wandering eye and he never does. So I appreciated that. The Kelly Preston character, the Avery character is, I don't really like that character, but I do want to say, I think that character is kind of that trope of like, because she's a woman who's so in charge of her sexuality and loves sex, that she's not the best person. And I kind of don't like that aspect to it. She's also another famous Scientologist, by the way. If you didn't know, Kelly Preston, was, of course, the late Kelly Preston, of course, who was married to John Travolta, who's also another famous Scientologist. But anyway, I think that character was kind of done dirty in a way in this movie where a character that is so in touch with their sexuality and isn't just defined by what a woman is, quote unquote, supposed to be and painting that as not necessarily the best. I kind of don't like that, but it is what it is. And of course, I am with you about Laurel and Bonnie Hunt. Bonnie Hunt is a treasure, an absolute treasure. And she did so many of these roles. This is such a typical Bonnie Hunt role. I don't know if did you watch the movie Remember Me or Return to Me?
I love that movie so much.
Oh yeah, with David Duchovny and Minnie Driver. And I love that movie too. I've watched that movie so many times.
Yes. If you haven't already covered that, we need to cover that at some point.
We should. I was thinking that actually while we were talking about this. I'm like, we should cover that movie because I love that movie. And she, of course, is in a relationship with Jim. It's Jim, right? Jim. Because I could think, John Belushi's the one who passed away. Jim Belushi. Yeah. And she's in a relationship with Jim Belushi, and she's the friend of Minnie Driver's character. And Minnie Driver had a heart transplant and all this stuff. And I don't want to give away the whole thing because you should watch it if you haven't. It's really a sweet sweet and beautiful love story. I love that movie so much.
Yes, you will cry.
Yes,
Every
you will
time
cry.
still I watch that movie, I cry. It's so good.
It is. It's really good. But that's another really great Bonnie Hunt performance. So I really, really love watching her in anything. And I think she does a great job. She's speaking as a big sister, she's very much the way, the struggles of a big sister. And she, has become very jaded about relationships and men. And she does not support this relationship really until closer towards the end. But she's a really, really great big sister. And I think she's kind of put aside her own needs and wants for her sister in some respects too. But I love this character and I love the performance. And Ray is just so precious. And this could also easily have been very annoying because sometimes very precious kids in movies can be really annoying. But this, for some reason, wasn't. And I think it was the acting. I think Jonathan Lipnicki did a really good job. And I think, like you said, the chemistry that he has, and by that I mean like father-son almost, like relationship with Jerry, and just how well he plays that off and how quick this kid is. And I just really, really loved him as well. As far as a favorite, it's very hard because, and I saved Dorothy. I'll talk a little bit more about Dorothy when we're talking about the relationship, because Dorothy, I struggle with Dorothy. I struggle with Renee Zellweger. If people don't know, I am not the biggest fan of Renee Zellweger, to be honest. Sometimes I love her, sometimes I don't. Sometimes she can be a little bit much for me. I do like her in this movie, though. I loved her when I first saw this movie. I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. And I loved the two of them together. And we'll talk about that more later. But she kind of frustrates me in the fact that I think it's just, she's such a dreamer and she has her head such in the clouds that I sometimes want to shake her and be like, ah. And I think that's the way that Laurel feels most of this movie is, oh my God, being your big sister is so much work. Wake up. But I think that Renee Zellweger does a good job too as Dorothy. As far as favorites go, Bob, just kidding. I'll go with Rod. But it's hard. Like a lot of these characters I could choose. I could even choose Jerry Maguire as my favorite too sometimes. But I just like Rod. I'm going to say Rod and Marcy together. That's my final answer is Rod and Marcy together. So yes, I love their love story as well. Okay, so let's talk about that love story between Jerry and Dorothy. Now, of course, Dorothy worked at the same place. Jerry didn't know her at all until that whole conference when he does the manifesto, and she's the only one that's kind of like really genuinely like supportive of the manifesto and supportive of what he said. And she's the only one that when he quits, she goes with him. She quits as well. She kind of is like living off of that passion. And of course, there's the famous where the elevator door closes, and he's like, just watch them. They're not going to survive without us. And then they cue back to there and the phones are ringing. Everybody's back to business as normal. And they end up going on a date, sleep together pretty quickly, and then they get engaged and get married like incredibly quickly. And everything moves very fast. And then one day she kind of is like, no, we can't do this. You love my child, but I don't think you're really in love with me. This doesn't feel like a real partnership. And then, of course, in the end, Jerry comes back, sweeps her off her feet with the "you complete me" line. And her saying, "You had me at hello." One of the most, talked about romantic end scenes of any romantic comedy ever. So what are your thoughts on their relationship? Do you like their relationship or where it goes?
There's some issues here. So, okay. So with Jerry, like at the beginning, he's engaged to, oh God, I'm blanking. Kelly Preston's
Avery.
Thank you. God, he's engaged to Avery. And you see at his bachelor party, they're playing a video of him. And every single woman on that video says Jerry doesn't want to be alone. And you see that play out with his relationship with Dorothy. Because when she realizes that, he can't pay her she's kind of a drain on the company at this point because there's no money coming in, not for any, bad reasons or anything. It's just facts. There's no money coming into the company. He can't pay her. She still has a child to support. So she wants to take a job in San Diego. And his response to that is, oh God, he only has one client. Everybody else has left him. I don't want her to leave me too. Hey, marry me. Not because he loves her, because he doesn't want to be alone. He loves her kid. She's right in that. He loves that kid. And he cannot stand the thought of being alone. He wants, like you said, he sees Rod and Marcy together. And he wants that kind of a relationship too. Dorothy very much wants that kind of a relationship. But I don't think either one of them really know how to get there yet. Dorothy sees Jerry interact with Ray at the airport because they're on the same flight coming home from that disastrous manifesto thing that he did. And Ray's being Ray. He's being adorable, but he's being a child. And Jerry doesn't bat an eye and just is going with the flow. And she sees that. She sees someone interacting with her son. And every time Jerry and Ray are interacting, she's seeing that. And it's like, he'd be a great father for my son. And I think that's what she fell in love with more than Jerry as a person. She sees a good father for her son. And she's very idealistic and she wants this perfect family that she sees, Rod and Marcy have. And she wants that very badly. And they both are they're not taking the time to get to know each other. And their whole early relationship is very awkward. Every time they're around each other, they're strangers. Like, they are literal strangers. When they first go on that date, they're jumping into bed together. They're getting married. Like, they don't know each other. And she even comes out and says when they're in bed together later after they've been married, she's like, I don't know what you're thinking yet. I don't know what those sound, because she says something and he just kind of makes an kind of a scoffing type noise. And she's like, I don't know what those noises mean. They did not take the time to get to know each other as people and find out if they're really compatible as people before they just jumped into getting married. Like, it's hard not to love that end scene where he says, you complete me. But like, and 20-year-old me watching this movie, like, fell for the romance hook, line, and sinker. Because this is a very 90s trope romance. 50-year-old me is going, they're not going to last a year. Like, I love that scene, but they ain't going to last because they still don't know each other. They haven't taken the time. If they take the time and put in the work and become friends and learn about each other, then maybe. But, just the guy loving your kid and, giving you the weepy I love you at the end of the movie is not a relationship maker.
Yeah, no, I totally, even though the romantic at heart in me and the person that watched this when I was much younger still loves that ending, loves that speech. But I do agree. I don't think they lasted at all. And what you have is a romantic in Dorothy. Dorothy is a romantic. And then you have a character in Jerry who cannot be alone. There are people like that who they get out of one relationship and they instantly get into another one without taking a moment to learn about who they are. That fear of being alone overcomes them and they can't stand having a moment with just themselves and getting to know themselves. And I think for Jerry, it is kind of unrealistic to jump out of this relationship where he's engaged and then instantly hop into this other relationship and end up marrying this other person. And he wants to marry her because he's going to lose her, that's not romantic. That's not like love. They don't know each other, like you said. They're not friends. Like I said, with Marcy and Rod, you've got a totally different relationship where they know each other, they love each other, and they like each other. With Jerry and Dorothy, I think Jerry really likes her, but he doesn't love her because he doesn't know her. And she's kind of like this romantic version of like, she's someone who's such the complete opposite of Avery as well. So it's like he's able to jump into a relationship with someone who believed in him in a time when nobody was really believing in him is the other part of it. And he really genuinely, I really believe he genuinely loves Ray. He genuinely wants to be a father to Ray. And, you know, when she calls him on that, that's very true. That's a big reason I think he's in that relationship. I mean, you have the whole part where Rod is telling him, you know, as someone who was raised by a single mom, you have to really have that conversation with her, have a truthful conversation. And instead, he asks her to marry him. And it's like, he can't have that conversation. And like Rod said, well, this was definitely a different way to go.
It was a choice.
Yeah, it was definitely a choice there. Just very true. And so it's hard because I think they have really great chemistry. I do want to say, I do think Tom Cruise and Renee Zellweger have good chemistry, which is essential, I think, in any love story, which sometimes people forget that. But I do struggle with the reality of this relationship. And, you know, you do want to kind of lose yourself in the story, and it's fictional and it's not real, and lose yourself in the romance of it. But in all reality, like you said, they aren't going to last because he is so wrapped up in himself that he's not taking enough time to get to know her as a person. She wants to get to know him. He doesn't want to get to know her. He just wants to have the support that she lends him. And you hope at the end that he's getting to the point where he wants to know about her, but it still doesn't feel like he's at that point yet. So I think they should maybe date a little bit and really get to know each other. But I think more than anything, Jerry needs time by himself to get to know himself, because he doesn't even know who he is completely, because he doesn't know who he is without having a partner. And when people are like that, I think they go through a lot of relationships because they don't know themselves yet. I know it's not always the case, but sometimes. So I think Jerry, instead of being in a relationship, needs to get to know himself first. And then I think if he did, that relationship could prosper more, or he'd find a different relationship. But yeah, so I don't think realistically they lasted, but I do like the idea of them. And there's still that romantic in me that loves that final scene, loves the tears in his eyes and how genuine it seems that he ran to her, basically, you know, more Tom Cruise running. He runs in every movie, basically. So more Tom Cruise running, more watching that, and that, you know, the pleading and the emotion and the, you know, all of that. And all the women in the group going, this is the best one we've ever had.
The room full of jaded, divorced women.
Yeah. So I love that scene, but I do agree. I don't think they lasted because they don't really know each other. And Jerry is not really at a place to be in a healthy relationship yet, I don't think. So yeah, but I still am like fine that they're together, because it's like, okay, but realistically, no. And I do want to say, though, I do appreciate, as someone who was raised by a single mother, that they have a single mother in here who's not portrayed as a drug addict, neglectful. Yes, you could argue that her quitting her job for this guy and getting married so quickly is kind of not okay when you're a single mom. I guess you could make that argument. But she's portrayed as a very, you know, grounded person who's not like a quote unquote slut or drug addict or all the myriad of stereotypes that have been lobbed against single mothers for decades. So I do appreciate that part of it. Yeah. Okay, so we're going to take another quick break. And we've already talked a lot about the ending, but I just want to when we come back, I'm just going to ask Paula if she has any other thoughts on the ending. And then we're going to name 3 of our favorite scenes or lines. So we'll be right back.
We love our pets. They're our best friends as we navigate life's ups and downs with a wag or a purr just when we need it. The Royal Veterinary College is there for our pets, home to Europe's largest small animal referrals hospital, with over 200 specialists providing expert care 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. The bond between a pet and their person is worth fighting for, and that's the belief that inspired the RVC Memory Tree, a beautiful handmade sculpture standing in the heart of the RVC Small Animal Referrals Hospital, adorned with gold, silver and copper leaves, each one engraved with the name of a beloved pet, and each one funding the extraordinary work happening there every day. For just £10 a month, you can dedicate a leaf in the name of your pet. celebrating your pet's life whilst also helping to fund life-saving treatment and care for animals in need. Visit rvcact.com/memory tree to dedicate a leaf today and let your pet's memory live on.
Okay, so Paula, we did talk a lot about the ending part, of course, especially with Dorothy and Jerry. But do you have any other thoughts on the ending, or even just the ending with Rod getting that huge contract? Any other thoughts that you have?
Well, like the problems that we have with the romance, if you will, like it's a movie. It's movie magic.
Yeah.
And you gotta have that big romantic gesture of a scene at the end to have your quote unquote happily ever after. So yeah, I mean, as much as like realistic me is going, yeah, it ain't gonna work. I do love the scene. There's some fun moments with, the ladies.
Yeah.
Just like fawning all over the idea of this romantic gesture. And it's a very typical, romance movie type of scene, and we love those. If you love a good romance movie, you'll love those types of scenes, and of course I love that scene too. So yeah.
Yeah, I love the ending of this movie, and I love the part with Rod too, where he's like, I'm not gonna cry on this show, and he ends up crying, and it's that huge deal. I love that, and him giving the shout outs to everybody, and a shout out to Jerry Maguire, and he's hugging everybody, and they're like, we gotta wrap up the show, and he keeps going. I love that. I think it's great. It's so genuine too.
Mm-hmm.
It's like such this genuine, unmanufactured moment that I think in that industry was so rare. So I love seeing that too. I do love the little end when Jerry and Dorothy and Ray are walking, and then Ray like throws the baseball and everything, and she's like, nope, we're not going to get him into sports, because he's instantly thinking, oh my gosh.
He's seeing dollar signs.
Yes, exactly. And she's like, no. So I like that little bit there too. I think it's a perfect ending. Even though, like we have both said, there are issues galore with this love story, and it really realistically wouldn't last. But I still love it. I still love them getting together. I still love Jerry having that realization of that he needs a partner there who's actually a partner like Marcy is. And I like that. So, but yeah, it's not realistic, but I don't care. I love it. I think it's a perfect ending, perfect way to end this. I think it's done really well. So, and it could be that scene. What are 3 of your favorite scenes or lines in this movie?
Okay, so we got to talk about the show me the money scene.
Yeah.
It's so, again, this is another one of those super iconic moments of that. Even if you haven't seen the movie, everybody knows show me the money.
Yeah.
Everybody knows it. It's still quoted to this day. And again, just watching Tom Cruise in this scene where he's just going for, like, I love that scene. It's so funny. He's been fired. Like, it doesn't make sense that they let him stay in his office that whole day, like trying to get clients or whatever. Like, that totally unrealistic. But just him sitting there and everybody's just hearing him screaming at the top of his lungs, show me the money. I love it. Oh, so much fun. Again, another, like, I still quote this one to this day. It's more the line than the whole scene, but the scene's good too. It's just like the help me help you, because
I love that.
Tom Cruise is Jerry is talking to Rod, and Rod still got his eye on the money, and is Jerry's calling him out where you're playing with your head, not your heart, and he's being very realistic with him and telling him you need to help me. I need to help.
Yeah.
I need help helping you. And again, I think a lot of people know that line, even if they don't realize what movie it's from. I still say it. I still quote it. Like, this movie is pretty quotable, to be honest. And my other favorite, like, there's a lot of good scenes. I could say a lot of them, but I'm gonna go with Jerry and Ray when they're sitting on the couch, and he just comes up. And from what I understand, that was like a totally like random thing that Jonathan Lipnicki did. So the laugh from Tom Cruise, I think, was a genuine, like, he was not expecting that. and that's that whole interaction where Ray's supposed to be in bed, and so Dorothy and Laurel are in the kitchen talking, and Jerry and Ray are sitting there, having their little conversation, and And he's like, "Oh, mom's coming. I gotta go to bed." And Jerry's like pouring his heart out onto his like, okay. Like that whole like, look, I love that relationship between Jerry and Ray. It's so sweet and just any scene with those two together, I love. But that was one of my favorites because that, like, when Ray says, what was it like? Did you know the human head weighs 8 pounds? And Tom just busts out laughing. Like, that was so funny. It was, and it felt like a very genuine, like, real moment, like not a scripted moment. I love it.
Yeah, they have such great scenes together. And I've just been like, no, don't go to bed. I still want to keep talking. Where are you going to bed? I want to open up to you. Yeah, I love all of that. Yeah. Yeah, the whole thing about with them going back and forth and the, bees and dogs can smell fear. And with Jerry going, do you know Troy Aikman is only 6 years? Going all those sports ones. And then ending with do you know that my next door neighbor has 3 rabbits?
I can't compete with that.
Yeah, I love that. I love the way that is. That whole scene. So I'll shout that one out. I do love the scene when Jerry and Dorothy are having sex for the first time. I think that scene is so, so well done because, she's got that, her friend gave her that jazz tape and they're just like, what is this that we're listening to? And, when she first opens the door and he's standing there like all like, trying to be all like sexy and serious. And then she closes the door and then opens it again and he laughs. I think that's so sweet. And I also love when you see little bits of Laurel and she's smoking and she's like kind of like eavesdropping. You can see there's a little bit of sadness and sorrow. Like she loves this. She's also worried about her sister, but she's also, I think, in a way envious and she kind of, misses having that connection as well. So I love that whole scene. I think it's really sweet and beautiful. And yeah, I really love that. Yeah, I do. I also love the show me the money scene, but I do want to say the ending scene again, even though we've already talked about the ending, but I'm still going to say the scene with Rod and him getting that and watching him just be like, going through like, the guy's just like going through everything he's been through in his life that might make him emotional. And what makes him emotional is getting that deal. And while you might say, well, that just shows he only cares about the money. No, it just goes to his character. And I think it's great. And I love how genuine he is in that moment and watching his wife's face and all of that. I think it's a beautiful, beautiful moment. So yeah, there are so many scenes though that it's really hard to choose. Just 3.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are probably 3 of my favorites from it. But yeah, I just love do you know my next door neighbor has 3 rabbits? That's like, okay, can't compete with that.
You compete. I mean, how can you compete with it?
Okay, well, thank you so much, Paula, for joining me for this one and for all of the Tom Cruise ones, except of course for Collateral. But thank you. I appreciate you taking this Tom Cruise journey with me. But we are going to play 6 Degrees of Mr. Finn Wittrock. And of course, the only criteria is you can't use the same ones from other ones. So how did you connect Finn Wittrock to Jerry Maguire?
Well, since we are doing Tom Cruise month, I couldn't not do at least one with Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
However, this is a double because it's Tom Cruise and Cuba Gooding Jr. We're in A Few Good Men.
Oh, yeah.
With Kiefer Sutherland, who was in 12 with Finn Wittrock.
Ah, very good. Very good. Yeah, I mean, I'm actually one of those people that doesn't really like A Few Good Men. I'm sorry.
I've actually never seen it. I've only seen like
I've never
seen the whole movie. I've just seen all of the famous clips. I may have seen it once. I don't remember. But yeah.
Because isn't Kevin
Bacon's in it?
Yeah. See, Kevin Bacon, the founder of the game. The reason the game exists.
Right? So we get the Kevin Bacon connection too. See? Bonus.
There you go. So yeah, I wanted to use Tom Cruise too, because I'm like, you kind of have to at the end. I was saving using Tom Cruise for the end, because there's also a 1 degree in this movie. Renee Zellweger was in the movie Judy with Finn Wittrock. So you could have just said that. So it was a really easy one, but I'm glad that we both used Tom Cruise. So I'm going to name a couple of really quick ones. So Tom Cruise, of course, was in Magnolia. with Philip Seymour Hoffman. And I used kind of that one last week, so that wasn't going to be my main one. But Philip Seymour Hoffman, of course, was on stage in Death of the Salesman with Finn Wittrock. Tom Cruise, of course, was also in Interview with the Vampire with the annoying Brad Pitt, who's so terrible in that movie, the annoying alleged abuser, Brad Pitt. And Brad Pitt, of course, was in The Big Short with Mr. Finn Wittrock. And of course, in that movie is our unofficial mascot, Christian fucking Bale. But I do want to quickly since we can use Kevin Bacon by going to A Few Good Men. Kevin Bacon was in this movie with Amanda Seyfried, and I can't remember the name of the movie, so I'm trying to look it up really quickly here, because Amanda Seyfried was also in A Mouthful of Air with Finn. But let me look up what that movie is, because I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head. It's like a little horror film.
Oh, I know which one you're
with
talking
Kevin Bacon.
about.
Kevin Bacon is such a dick in that movie. I love Kevin Bacon so much. So Kevin Bacon, who of course was also in A Few Good Men, was in this little stupid horror mystery thriller. I'm sorry, I'm saying it's stupid. Maybe you love it. I don't know. Called You Should Have Left with Amanda Seyfried, who was in A Mouthful of Air with Finn. So there you go. So then we can use Kevin Bacon for the reason we have this game. So thank you again, Paula, for joining me. I really enjoyed this conversation, and I really enjoyed this month. And I know some people may have been annoyed by this month, and it's very valid. But thank you for taking this journey. I did enjoy talking about these movies, even though they all made me feel old because they're turning so old.
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah. But we're going to go ahead and close out. So Paula is one of my co-hosts of It's a Dean Thing pod, where we talk about Dean Winchester from Supernatural. So Paula, where can It's a Dean Thing and you be found?
You can listen to It's a Dean Thing that Erin Moth and I host wherever you like to listen to your podcast. You can find us on social media at It's a Dean Thing pod. I am also on social media at It's My Sandbox, but I don't really, I mostly lurk. I don't ever post anything. So come hang out with us, all the panelists, at It's a Fandom Thing Discord server. We have all kinds of channels. Speaking of Finn Wittrock, I occasionally pop into it. Paula watches Finn Wittrock, and I've seen Judy. That's one of the few I've actually seen.
That's true, you have.
Yes, and A Big Short. I've seen 2 movies. So I occasionally pop in there with another movie that I've watched. We talk about movies, horror, books, music, theater. You know, you got something you want to complain about, we got a channel for that. Pets. We have a channel for It's a Dean Thing, fan fiction, like all kinds of stuff. Just come hang out with us, talk, say hi. We're fun. It's a safe space. Come hang out with us. Yeah.
Yes. Fergie the dog does not care about this movie because Fergie loves horror movies, Abbott Elementary, and true crime. So this didn't really do it for her. But she's a funny, cute little dog that you can follow on TikTok at Schroeder and Fergs. That's SCHROEDERANDFERGS. It's long, but it's worth it. To find links to all our past episodes and links to our social media, including the Discord server that Paula mentioned, head on over to our website. It's a fandomthingpod.com. And while you're there, consider becoming a Patreon supporter today. For as little as $3 a month, you get ad-free content, episodes a day early, and bonus episodes like our bonus episode talking about the film Collateral. Tiff and I talked about that amazing, awesome Michael Mann film. So click the link in the show notes or head on over to our website. It's a fandomthingpod.com and click the Support Us tab there. And just some programming notes. So next week, we will not have a pop culture episode. We will have a Friday episode, and it is a previously only available to our Patreon subscribers episode where we discussed the first 2 seasons of the television show Interview with the Vampire. So I am releasing that one now for the public to listen to, and that features my podcast Brain Twin Jen from my streaming bubble, and also the podcast we co-host Twin It to Win It. And also on that is Eshell. And so we do a deep dive into the first 2 seasons, spoiler filled. It's a fun little episode. So I'm releasing that for the first time for the public. Before it was only available to Patreon subscribers. And then the week after that, which is the first week of August, we won't have any episodes. So no pop culture episodes and no Friday episodes. So just as a heads up, so that gives you plenty of time to catch up on any episodes you've missed, re-listen to episodes you maybe love and want to hear again. And then after that, the week after that, we will be talking about practical magic. And that is a full panel, and that is featuring KJ Brantley, who is an author and also the founder of Southern Colorado Women in Horror Festival, which is returning next year and debuted this year. And she is awesome. You can go listen to my interview with her from earlier this year. And then also on that episode will be Moth, our co-host from It's a Dean Thing, and also Kim, co-host of, it's still around, so you can still listen to it, but the now retired podcast, Big Reputations Pod. So a packed panel, and I'm excited to talk about that because the sequel's coming out, so I wanted to talk about the first one first. So until next time, remember, it's a fandom thing. Black Lives Matter, stop Asian hate, and free Palestine. Hello, and welcome to It's a Fandom Thing. I'm your host, Erin Marlowe, and we are wrapping up our Jerry Maguire celebration. We've been celebrating Jerry Maguire
this whole month.
Oh my God. I'm going to take that again.